Good morning or afternoon, evening, middle of the night. It could be any time. It's the time that you're listening to this. You who are meeting me, Crescent Dragon Wagon. But whatever time it is in time, and time is what we're going to talk about. Time and planning it, using it, perhaps not managing it, the phrase that we often hear in connection with time, because I really believe that time is a force of its own, which cannot be managed, but can be worked with collaboratively. And man, is that a challenge this crazy year that we've all endured in the face of so much uncertainty. How can we make plans? How can we plan our time? Well, in a lot of videos like this, people, when they want to have you take their course or their workshop, they tell you how bad they had it and then what happened and how revolutionary the change was. And usually, like the first 5 or 10 minutes, they'll repeat that little story. And I always find that kind of boring when I take a class. I want to just get to the work. So I'm going to tell you this before we get here. I am a freelance writer. I am a poet and a children's book writer and a cookbook writer. Now, what would a poet have to tell you about working with time and planning? Do they not seem on the extremes of each other's edge? Here are two different things about time that two different poets said, and then I'll go into a little more that may tell you about this class. Poet one would be Annie Dillard. Many people know her as a nature writer. She wrote Pilgrim at Tinker Creek. But in her book on writing, she threw away this little line: how we live our lives is how we spend our days. Yeah. Then there's the very different poet Delmore Schwartz. Delmore Schwartz said, time is the school in which we learn. Time is the fire in which we burn. Heavy duty, right? We're jumping right in there. Listen, the reason that I'm equipped to tell you this and to work with you is I've had to work for a long time to come up with a planning system based on planning thinking, which in turn is based on intentionality, on living one's life in intention, in alignment with one's larger life goals. I had to work out both a system and the underlying thinking about the system, which is to say thinking about time, before I could start to become what I am, which is a writer. As you know from that, I'm the writer of children's books like the Coretta Scott King Award-winning Half a Moon and One Whole Star, like All the Awake Animals is another one. But I've also written children's books, Soup and Bread, sold 500,000 copies. And then, last but not least, this big honking book. There's me as a 50-year-old cover girl on it. I'm 60, almost 68 now. So how did I become productive? And why did I become productive? I have been self-employed my entire working life, which has been since I was 16. How did I manage to write 50 published books? And meanwhile, teach workshops like this, do school visits, college visits, speak at conferences, conventions, blah, 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 blah. When I was self-employed, I came out of a fairly chaotic family. And I have a learning disability called dyscalculia, which is like dyslexia, but with numbers. So if I wanted to write, if I wanted to live a life that I felt was meeting my best and highest purposes as I understood them at the time, I had to figure out how to put this in time. Oh, on top of that, I have unusual sleep patterns, what most people would call insomnia. How do you manage time when time is, for one reason or another, I couldn't quite do it. But my desire to understand and to move through life effectively, and my great tolerance for being unhappy and frustrated with myself, drove me to develop this process. So that is why I think that you should believe me when I tell you that left brain planning for right brain planning works. It works for productivity, but not in a neurotic kind of corporate-ese way. That's not my thing, to work so that it's effective, so that it's fun, enjoyable, that it becomes an organic part of life, growing and changing when you do. And it has allowed me to live the life that I want to live pretty straight up. So if you have big dreams that you can't figure out the first step on, if your laundry accumulates because maybe you washed it but you forgot to put it to the dryer, maybe it's in the dryer but you didn't, from great big things to little things, from your best and highest wishes of life to what do I do in the next 15 minutes, I believe that Left Brain Planning for Right Brain People will help you. And I believe that I am the person to teach it to you, because I really am doing it and have done it for a while. And I want to help you, especially in these wacka times. And that's why, as I said in the earlier one, I'm doing this on a sliding scale. Everybody has to deal with time. Everybody's feeling discombobulated and a little frightened. And so, this is here for you. We're going to do this workshop. I gave you the particulars in the previous video, but this is the Why You Should Believe Me video. And I hope you do, and I hope you will join us on those 2 days in that weird little interregnum between Christmas and New Year's, and we will rock and roll, and I think it might just alter your life. Relentless incrementalism, that is part of the Dragon Wagon and You approach, as you'll see. See you.